Hello out there. The point of today's video is to help us avoid something I call flowery phrases and vague phrases when we write our FRQs. So really the goal is to help us write the strongest essay responses as we can. And you can use these in all of your classes, and just as you go into college you're going to find there's less and less bubbles, more and more written response. And of course, communication is something that goes beyond classroom essay exams. But some of the rules for other types of communication we're going to ignore. Things like spelling and grammar and topic sentences, we're throwing that out the window. For FRQ, where you're on a you got a time limit, we are going for the jugular, with it being as specific as we can to score points. Okay, and so if you haven't seen Office Space, here's a classic movie from the 90s. I thought those memes were pretty good. This top part here, flowery and vague phrases, I pulled off this worksheet. Hopefully you've got that. If you can't print it out, it's okay. Just open it up on your computer, but it was linked in with this assignment, so make sure you've got this. And let's just take a look at some of these flowery phrases we're going to avoid. It's bad for the environment. It's killing the planet. It's gonna, let's just be more sustainable. I've got a third grader and a fifth grader in the other room, and they can all both tell you that pollution is bad for the environment. For the AP level, we need to do better than that. We're going to be more laser with our language. And so you can say some of these things, but by themselves, they don't score points. Okay, and so take a look at all of those. And then also take a look at this. These are some good tips. If a fourth grader could say it, it's too vague. I want to add to that though. You want to write your FRQ so a fourth grader could understand it. Break it down, explain it step by step, so the reader knows you understand it. Now, don't worry about saying something too obvious. Be careful with absolutes. Is the entire species really going to go extinct? Probably not. So you got to be careful with that. And then also in the same kind of thinking, be careful when you say dates too. The date, if you say the law, the Endangered Species Act of 1975, blah, 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 blah. Well, the 1975 part doesn't score you a point, but what if you're wrong? Maybe it causes problems. So I wouldn't throw years out there. We've been talking about this all year. You should, if it says anything or identifies one sentence, anything else is at least two, I'm going to nix that. Let's say it's 3 to 5. You guys, your entire year is coming down to these two FRQs, and I still see people that aren't writing enough detail on their FRQs. So go 3 to 5 sentences. When it says describe, fully describe. Offer examples. If you're coming in and it's like seems a little vague, for example, this, blah blah blah. But so let's really do that, and most of us will, and maybe a few of us might not, and that'll be how it goes. Finally, if you can read this one on your own. If you're going to make something up, go for it. If you really don't know, I can tell you this: leaving it blank won't score any points. And so if you're going to, sometimes there's a saying, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS. And so if you got to go that way, just be confident. Okay, and so here are some flowery, weak phrases, and we're just going to take a look at how we can make these stronger. Acid deposition, which is like from acid rain, hurts forests. My third grader could tell you that. Here's how you can make it better. Acid deposition can hurt forests in several ways. One way is by reducing the topsoil's ability to retain vital nutrients such as calcium, magnesium, and potassium, as well as producing aluminum. We didn't get as much into acid rain as I would have liked to. Make sure you study acid rain. But you can see that makes that a lot stronger. All those nutrients are needed by vegetation and trees. Here's another one. Runoff from farms can reduce water quality and harm the environment. That doesn't score any points. Here's how you score the points. Runoff from farms can reduce surface water quality by introducing nutrients such as nitrates and phosphates. These compounds promote algae growth, which can reduce water clarity. Further, when the algae die, their decomposition by aerobic bacteria can also reduce oxygen levels. That scores the points. That's eutrophication, which I know we all know. Unfortunately, eutrophication is in Unit 8 not on the exam. But we're going to write like it is. I'll let you read these ones here on your own. You get the idea. We got to bring in the detail. So here's what I'd like you to do. Here's how you're going to get credit for this activity. I want you to look at these three statements. High levels of poverty are bad for the planet. Mercury contamination in food can hurt children. And automobiles make a lot of air pollution, which can disrupt the environment. I want you to look at those. All of those can be rewritten in a variety of ways. And I want you to go to the Google document that I linked and write your phrase in there, and then look at what other people did. And if you want to adjust yours, you can. But let's make them as strong as possible. And don't worry if you feel like somebody's is better than yours or whatever. It's like, this is practice. We're all going to the same place. And I want you to be able to be proud of your performance on your AP exam. One couple little points here. High levels of poverty are bad for the planet. You can think population. You can think about what's happening right now in our environment. How are people, what are people thinking about in terms of environmental health as they're losing jobs and all of a sudden kind of getting into survival mode, right? And so those are some things you can think about. And then one point about mercury, for toxins, and there's so many toxins, when in doubt, it can cause brain damage. If you don't know what it is, when in doubt, brain damage or birth defects will work too. And so I'll let you work with those three, and please put them in the Google document and keep these things in mind as you are writing your responses. Nothing is worse than if you know the stuff but you're not scoring the points because you're not putting enough detail down. And there were a few of you that statement applies to from just our last exams. So let's not do that anymore. Okay, thanks everybody. Hopefully this was helpful.